In the far reaches of the galaxy, where stars burned cold and silence ruled, a small fleet of ships drifted like ghosts. No light shone from their hulls, no signal escaped their systems. They were shadows in the dark, watchers of a galaxy that had forgotten them. 3 centuries ago, Earth had burned. The Galactic Order, the most powerful force in the known universe, had declared humanity a threat. A long war followed, but Earth was too weak, too divided. When the final attack came, the sky turned to fire, and the planet was lost. Billions died. The survivors, scattered soldiers, scientists, workers, and refugees, were forced into exile. The Galactic Order pushed them to the edge of the map, into a zone called the Oblivion Sector. It was supposed to be their grave, but it wasn't. Commander Jackson Morrow stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, Nova Terra's flagship. Outside the thick glass, the void stretched in every direction, endless, black, and quiet. His eyes scanned the starless expanse ahead. Behind him, his crew worked in silence, trained and focused. Jackson's tall frame was straight, his dark uniform perfectly pressed, his eyes sharp but thoughtful. He had grown up in this darkness, born after Earth's fall. His parents had been part of the first settlers who arrived in the Oblivion Sector, tired, broken but not defeated. Over the years, these exiles had gathered in secret, united by purpose, hiding among dead stars and forgotten moons. They mined ancient ruins, salvaged lost tech, and built something new. Out of exile, they had created Nova Terra, a hidden empire of steel, code, and fire. Jackson turned as a soft chime echoed on the command deck. "Commander," said Lieutenant Vera Lynn, stepping forward. "We've received a coded message from Station Vale, Priority Alpha." Jackson nodded once. "Put it through." The lights dimmed slightly, and a hologram flickered to life. A man's face appeared, bruised and bloodied. The background was smoky, the sound filled with static. "This is Scout Captain Narek. Our ship was taken, ambushed near the dusk line, enemy forces, Galactic Order, prisoners being moved, coordinates attached." The message ended. Silence followed. Jackson's jaw tightened. He didn't speak at first. Everyone on the bridge knew what this meant. A Nova Terra scout team had been captured. Worse, by the Galactic Order. No one in the galaxy knew Nova Terra existed. Yet, that was their greatest strength. If the enemy learned the truth, if they found the location of their hidden cities, their fleets, their people, it would all end before it truly began. "Commander," Vera asked quietly. Jackson looked down at the floor, then back up. His voice was calm but cold. "Call a high command session. Now." The war room deep inside the Eclipse was circular, its walls covered in star maps and tactical readouts. Around the table stood Nova Terra's most trusted leaders, generals, engineers, scientists, intelligence chiefs. Holographic screens floated above the table, showing the captured scout ship, the enemy outpost, and the possible flight paths. General Halleck slammed a metal fist on the table. "We can't risk it. If the prisoners talk, it's over. We should cut our losses, destroy that entire sector, leave nothing behind." Dr. Mira Voss, head of Nova Terra's scientific core, shook her head. "They're human beings, not pieces on a board. We can't just erase them." Another voice, softer but firm, spoke from Jackson's side. It was Admiral Sora Dane. "Commander, this is your decision. You trained those scouts. You know the risks. You also know what's at stake." Jackson looked at the images again. His thoughts ran deep. The pain of exile, the cost of silence, the burden of leadership. He knew the enemy. He knew Corvex, the Galactic Order's High Marshal. If that man got even a trace of truth, he would strike without mercy. Still, could they abandon their own? No, Jackson said at last. We do not leave our people behind. Murmurs spread across the room. Jackson raised a hand, steady and strong. I'll lead the mission myself. A small team, stealth class. We go in, get our people, and get out. What if you're seen? Halleck asked. What if they follow you back? Then we make sure they don't, Jackson said. The others looked at him with a mix of fear and respect. No one questioned his resolve. He was not just a commander. He was a symbol of what humanity had become, strong, quiet, and ready. The meeting ended with orders given and ships prepared. Outside, in the deep dark of the Oblivion sector, engines began to hum quietly. As Jackson returned to the bridge, he paused to look at a small silver badge on his chest, the symbol of old Earth, faded but not forgotten. We are still here, he whispered. The silence of space was complete. Outside the eclipse, no stars shone bright, no planets glowed, just cold darkness. Inside, the hum of engines and the soft clicks of control panels filled the bridge. Commander Jackson Morrow stood alone at the observation window. His eyes watched the void, but his mind was heavy with choices. He had made a promise. Nova Terra would never suffer what Earth did. That promise was now in danger. Behind him the doors opened. Lieutenant Vera Lynn entered quietly. The High Command is ready, sir. Jackson nodded. I'll be there shortly. Vera hesitated. Do you think it's the right call, sir, going after them? Jackson turned. I don't know yet. That's why we're meeting. He walked with steady steps toward the war chamber, where decisions were made that could shape the future of their hidden empire. The High Command meeting room was cold and steel gray, built deep within the core of the eclipse. A round table sat in the center, surrounded by chairs occupied by Nova Terra's top minds, military officers, scientists, strategists, and council leaders. Jackson entered. Everyone stood. He raised a hand. Sit. He took his place at the head of the table. A large holomap glowed above them, showing the captured scout ship, marked in red. Around it, several enemy patrols moved like predators circling prey. The route back to Nova Terra was highlighted in green, a path through the most dangerous sector of space, filled with collapsed stars and radiation storms. General Halleck, thick-necked and iron-voiced, leaned forward. We have to assume the Galactic Order knows something. If they break the prisoners, they'll come for us. And if we do nothing, said Dr. Mira Voss, we become cowards. We let fear rule us. They knew the risks, Halleck replied. This is bigger than 6 lives. Jackson raised his voice. Not loud, but firm. They're not just 6 lives, they're our people. They gave everything to keep our secrets. Now we give everything to bring them home. A few heads nodded. Others stayed silent. Admiral Sora Dane pulled up a tactical screen. If we act, we have one chance. A small team. One stealth ship. No backup. If it fails, we destroy the area before the enemy can follow. That's still a risk, muttered a quiet voice. Minister Alan Tor, one of the civilian leaders. We've lived in peace for 3 centuries. Are we ready to risk open war? Jackson looked at him. Peace built on silence is not peace. It's hiding. We didn't survive to remain ghosts. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Jackson tapped a command on the table. A new image appeared. A black, sleek ship, shaped like a blade. This is the Phantom 9, our best stealth-class ship. I'll lead the mission. A hand-picked crew, no more than 10. We go in fast, silent and unseen. We extract the prisoners and disappear before the enemy knows we were ever there. General Halleck narrowed his eyes. If they catch you, Commander, it's not just your life at risk. It's Nova Terra's future. Jackson nodded. I know. That's why I'm going. Admiral Dane spoke next. You'll need pilot clearance from Vault 7. That sector's been unstable lately. We've lost drones there. I'll manage, Jackson said. The final decision fell to him. Nova Terra had always trusted him to do what was right, not what was easy. He looked around the room, saw the uncertainty in their eyes, and knew what had to be done. Prepare the Phantom 9. We leave in 20 hours. Later that night, Jackson stood in his quarters. The lights were dim. A single data screen glowed on his desk. An old photo of Earth, taken from orbit. Blue oceans, green lands, white clouds. A world that no longer existed. He touched the screen gently. "I won't fail them," he whispered. His thoughts went to the captured scouts. Tired, afraid, maybe already tortured. They had believed in Nova Terra enough to risk their lives. He would not let their belief be in vain. A soft chime rang. It was a message from Admiral Dane. Mission protocols uploaded. Ghost path confirmed. All systems green. May the stars guide you, Commander. Jackson closed the message. He turned off the lights. In the darkness, he stood tall, a soldier born from ashes, now carrying the hope of an entire people. The Phantom 9 was unlike any other ship in Nova Terra's fleet. It was small, fast, and invisible to most sensors. Its outer hull absorbed radar, heat, and light, making it blend perfectly into space. Inside, everything was dark, quiet, and efficient. Every wire, every switch, every panel was designed for silence. Commander Jackson Morrow sat in the pilot's seat, his eyes steady as he checked the final diagnostics. Around him, his crew worked without wasted movement. Each of them had been chosen for this mission, not just for skill, but for loyalty and trust. To his right sat Lieutenant Vera Lynn, communications and infiltration expert. She was calm, sharp, and always a step ahead. Beside her was Rook, a former deep space miner turned engineer, big, quiet, and incredibly fast with tools. Kai Dren, the pilot and navigator, had the best reflexes in Nova Terra. Two elite soldiers, Reyes and Tamor, sat at the rear, checking their stealth weapons and scanning gear. Jackson looked at them all. "Once we cross the breach zone, there's no turning back. Our signal will go dark, and we'll be on our own. Speak only when needed. Move like shadows. If things go wrong, we don't let them follow us." Reyes finished. Jackson nodded. "Exactly." Kai tapped a few buttons on his screen. Flight path locked. Dusk line sector in 3 jumps. Vault 7 gate is stable but narrowing. We'll have to push the engine hard. "Do it," Jackson said. The ship gave a low hum as it moved forward, invisible against the black canvas of space. The first jump activated. Space bent around them, and the stars stretched like liquid. When they came out, they were in Vault 7, a shattered system full of broken moons and magnetic storms. Old battles had been fought here. The remains of war floated silently. Twisted metal, destroyed cruisers, forgotten satellites. "We'll use the debris field as cover," Jackson said. "Stay low." The Phantom 9 weaved through floating wreckage. Bits of Earth's past drifted here. Pieces of ships built long before Nova Terra even existed. Jackson stared at one broken hull that still bore the letters UN, United Nations of Earth. He didn't speak, but he remembered. Vera broke the silence. "We're getting echoes, faint, but sharp. Could be an enemy listening post." "Bypass it," Jackson ordered. Kai adjusted their course. The ship dipped low, flying behind a dead asteroid. As they cleared the field, the target system came into view, a fading star surrounded by thin rings of dust and ice. Orbiting one of the frozen moons was a dark structure, the Galactic Order outpost where the scouts were being held. Jackson stood. "Bring us in close. No lights, no noise. I want a full scan of that base." Vera tapped her console. 2 patrol ships. No movement inside. "They think no one's coming." "Good. That gives us the advantage," Jackson said. The outpost was built like a claw wrapped around the moon's crust. Black towers rose from its surface, with red warning lights pulsing slowly. No open ports. One main entrance on the dark side. He studied it closely. "Rook, prep the cutter. We'll go in from the underhang. Silent entry." "Aye," Rook grunted. "Already moving." Jackson turned to the others. "We enter fast. Split into 2 teams. Reyes and Tamor with me. Vera and Kai on systems. We find the prisoners, clear the path, and get out in under 20 minutes. No delays, no backup." They all nodded. 30 minutes later, the Phantom 9 hovered just below the outpost's underside, clamped to a hidden access point. The crew wore dark infiltration suits with thermal blockers. Jackson led them through the airlock, and one by one, they entered the enemy base. Inside, the corridors were cold and metallic. The lights flickered, and the air smelled of oil and burnt power. They moved like shadows, boots silent against the floor, weapons ready. Jackson's eyes scanned every corner. Life signs. Vera checked a small scanner. 3 prisoners, West Wing lower level, 2 guards nearby. Let's move. The team slipped through empty halls, past dim-lit chambers and sealed rooms. The Galactic Order wasn't expecting visitors. That was their weakness. As they neared the holding cells, a soft beeping echoed. Vera froze. Motion sensor, just triggered. Jackson raised his fist. Stop. From around the corner, 2 Order soldiers appeared, talking quietly. They didn't see Jackson's team, not until it was too late. Tamor moved first, a silent strike with an energy blade. Reyes followed, disabling the second guard with a quick stun shot. Both enemies dropped without a sound. Jackson moved forward. The prisoners were inside the cell, bruised and weak, but alive. One of them, Captain Narek, looked up with wide eyes. Nova Terra, he whispered. We're here, Jackson said. You're going home. Rook stepped up, cutting the cell lock with a portable tool. The prisoners stumbled out, helped by Tamor and Reyes. Suddenly, a sharp alarm blared. Damn it, Vera cursed. They found the bodies. Security's coming. Time to go, Jackson snapped. The team ran back through the corridor as red lights lit the walls. Enemy soldiers appeared at the far end. Jackson fired first, clean, silent shots. Reyes tossed a flash charge. The team pushed forward through smoke and sparks, guiding the prisoners through the chaos. Outside, the Phantom 9 had already powered up. As they reached the outer lock, the base trembled. Enemy weapons activating. Launch now, Jackson ordered as they boarded. The moment they were inside, Kai punched the thrusters. The ship peeled away from the base, just as warning blasts followed them. Vera activated the cloaking shield, and the Phantom 9 disappeared into the shadows once more. Inside, breathing was heavy. The prisoners were safe. No one was dead. For now, Jackson sat down and stared ahead. We're not done yet, he said quietly. The stars outside were silent, but danger burned close. The Phantom 9 flew like a ghost, drifting through the dead zone beyond the enemy outpost. Its cloaking shield flickered once, then steadied. Inside, the crew moved quickly. Jackson stood near the rear of the ship, watching over the rescued scouts. Captain Narek was conscious but weak. The other 2, Lyra and Meko, were barely sitting upright, their faces pale, bodies bruised. They didn't talk, Narek said through cracked lips. No matter what they did, we said nothing. Jackson nodded, placing a hand on the man's shoulder. You did well, now we get you home. Kai's voice came over the ship's intercom. Commander, we've got a problem. Jackson turned. I'm coming up. On the bridge, the crew's expressions were tense. Vera was staring at her console, her brow furrowed. Cloaks holding, she said, but someone saw us leave. A patrol ship broke formation just before the base alarms went off. It's following. Jackson moved beside Kai. Can it see us? Not yet, Kai answered, but it's scanning hard. It's fast too. One of their advanced models. They know something left the base, Vera added. They don't know what, but they're not going to let it go. Jackson studied the screen. One red dot pulsed behind them, closing the gap slowly. If they track us long enough, they'll figure out our course. And Nova Terra isn't far, Kai said quietly. Jackson made his decision. We'll have to lead them off. Everyone looked at him. We drop a decoy, he continued. Fake engine trails, false signals. Then we take a sharp turn into the Ravel dust belt. The Ravel belt, Vera frowned. That place is barely navigable. Gravity surges, debris storms. They won't expect anyone to go through it, Jackson said. Kai nodded. If we get through first, the debris will close behind us. They'll lose the trail. Jackson looked at Vera. Prep the decoy. The decoy device was small but powerful, a fake engine core rigged to mimic the Phantom 9 signal. Vera launched it from the rear port. It drifted in space, then ignited, pushing forward on a false trajectory. Decoy deployed, she said. They'll bite. Kai adjusted course. turning the Phantom 9 sharply left. The stars shifted outside, and the glow of the Ravel dust belt appeared ahead, a wide field of broken rocks, shattered moons and swirling magnetic fields. It was beautiful in a deadly way. Golden light shimmered through the dust like liquid fire. Entering in 30 seconds, Kai announced. The ship shook slightly as they crossed into the outer edge. Small fragments began tapping the hull. Alarms flashed across the dashboard. Rook appeared from below deck, shields holding. "But this place doesn't like us." "No one does," Jackson replied. As they dove deeper, the belt closed in around them. Debris tumbled in every direction. Rocks the size of cars passed within meters. Static interference hit the ship's systems. Vera fought to keep the cloak steady. "They're still following," she said. "They ignored the decoy." "They know we have something important," Jackson said. "We can't outrun them in here. We need to trap them." Kai raised an eyebrow. "You have something in mind?" Jackson tapped the console, bringing up a local scan. "There's a collapsing moon 3 clicks to starboard. Magnetic field is unstable, but it might work." Rook leaned over his shoulder. "If we overload their sensors inside that field, their systems could short, and we finish it," Tamo said simply, gripping her rifle. Jackson nodded. "Exactly." The Phantom 9 sped through the dense field, dodging giant chunks of debris. The enemy ship followed, just close enough to track. As they neared the unstable moon, electric storms flared across its surface, bolts of blue lightning lashing through space. "Now," Jackson said. Kai dived the ship into the field. Lightning danced across the hull. Vera shut off external comms and rerouted all power to shields. Behind them, the enemy ship entered the storm, and its lights began to flicker. "Sensor lock lost," Vera shouted. "Launch the disruptor," Jackson commanded. Tamo hit the control. A small drone shot out from their cargo bay, flying straight toward the enemy ship. It pulsed once, then exploded in a burst of energy. The enemy ship spun, lights dying, engines failing. "Fire," Jackson ordered. Reyes launched 2 silent missiles. They struck the enemy ship dead center. In the blink of an eye, it exploded. A bright flash in the dust field. Silence returned. No more red dots on the scanner. Everyone exhaled at once. "We're clear," Vera said. Kai pulled the Phantom 9 up and out of the storm. Bits of burning debris floated behind them. The danger was gone. Jackson stood still for a moment. His face didn't show relief, only focus. "Check on the prisoners. Begin prep for final jump home." Hours later, the crew gathered in the central hold. The prisoners were resting. Vera leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "That was too close," she said. Jackson nodded. "Yes, but they won't follow us again." Kai added, "That ship was new. The Galactic Order's upgrading. They're preparing for something." Jackson looked out a small window. The stars of Nova Terra's border shone faintly in the distance. "They're looking for us," he said. "Now they know we're real." No one spoke after that. The silence was heavy, not just with exhaustion, but with the knowledge that their secret was no longer safe. The Phantom 9 glided silently through the final stretch of deep space. Its hull bore scratches from debris, and the cloak field shimmered with strain, but the ship held steady. Inside, the crew moved with quiet urgency. The adrenaline of battle had faded, leaving behind fatigue and thought. They were almost home. Ahead of them was a vast dark patch of space, empty to the untrained eye. But those who knew the way could see the faint pattern of pulsars, the gentle flicker of hidden satellites. This was the edge of Nova Terra, a system cloaked from the galaxy, surrounded by old black holes, collapsing stars, and decades of layered stealth tech. "Approaching the veil," Kai said, sitting at the helm. "Signal the gate," Jackson ordered. "Level 5 clearance." Vera sent a coded pulse. A moment later, space shimmered, and a corridor of starlight opened up, invisible to outsiders, but clear to those who belonged. The Phantom 9 entered. Beyond the veil, Nova Terra came into view. It was a system rebuilt in silence. 3 hidden planets, once barren, now thriving with underground cities, shipyards, and life. Dozens of stations orbited quietly, shielded by cloaking fields and asteroid clusters. Fleets of ships patrolled the shadows, unseen by the galaxy. As the Phantom 9 flew past one of the orbital platforms, a formation of Nova Terra fighters appeared. They flanked the ship, weapons lowered, a sign of respect and safety. "We're home," Kai said softly. Jackson said nothing. He stared ahead, his mind already racing. The ship docked at Citadel Prime, Nova Terra's main command center, a giant fortress carved into the side of a hollowed asteroid. The hangar bay was filled with activity. Engineers, soldiers, medics all ready for the returning crew. Jackson stepped off first. As he did, several officers saluted. He gave a short nod and motioned for the medics to take the prisoners. Captain Narek, still weak, looked up at him. "You kept your word, Commander. You kept the secret," Jackson replied. "Rest now. You've done more than enough." As the medics took the survivors away, Jackson and his team walked down the main corridor toward the Central Council chamber. The mood was tense. They had returned alive, but everyone knew the mission had stirred something far greater. Inside the council chamber, the High Command was already waiting. General Hullock stood with arms folded, his face as hard as stone. Dr. Mira Voss sat at her terminal, concern in her eyes. Admiral Sora Dane leaned over a table, studying sensor data. Minister Alan Tor, the civilian voice of the people, looked uneasy. Jackson entered without hesitation. He placed his helmet on the table. "We were followed. We eliminated the ship. Any chance they tracked you home?" Hullock asked sharply. "No," Vera said, stepping forward. "We broke the pursuit in the Ravel Belt, left no trace." "Then how much do they know?" Admiral Dane asked. Jackson took a deep breath. "They know something escaped the base. They don't know it was us. Not for certain. But the way that ship responded, they suspected something. They were upgraded, faster, smarter. That wasn't routine patrol." Hullock slammed a fist on the table. "Then it begins. They'll come looking." "They already are," Jackson said. "Even if they don't know who we are yet, they'll dig, and they'll find pieces. We can't assume we're safe anymore." Dr. Voss stood. "Then what do you propose?" Jackson looked around the room, meeting every eye. "We've spent 3 centuries building in silence. That gave us strength. But silence won't protect us much longer. The galaxy is changing. The galactic order is growing paranoid. If we wait for them to find us, they'll strike on their terms, not ours." "You want to reveal Nova Terra?" Minister Tor asked, voice tense. "No," Jackson replied. "Not yet. But I want us to be ready. We can't be ghosts anymore. We need to prepare for contact, maybe war." Silence filled the chamber. General Hullock nodded slowly. Finally someone says it out loud. Vera stepped beside Jackson. "We're not suggesting open battle, but we can't live forever in the shadows. If they come, we must stand." Admiral Dane looked up from her screen. "Then we begin quiet mobilization. Shipyards go to full capacity. Defense nets recharged. Diplomatic probes sent to fringe systems. If war comes, we're not the prey." Jackson added, "And we continue to train our people, not just for defense, but for leadership. If the galaxy sees us, they must see more than survivors. They must see what we've become." There were no more arguments. Orders were given. Systems were activated. Nova Terra, once still and silent, began to stir like a giant waking from a long sleep. Later, Jackson returned to the observation deck alone. Outside, he watched a group of children running through one of the lower habitat rings, laughing, free, unaware of the dangers beyond their stars. He thought of Earth, of the wars, of the fire that destroyed everything. He thought of the crew who risked their lives, and the scouts who endured torture to keep a secret. He thought of the enemy ship, chasing them through the Ravel Belt, and the cold expression of High Marshal Kor Vex in the recordings they'd studied for years. This wasn't over. This was only the beginning. "We were forgotten," Jackson whispered. "Now they'll remember." The training field inside Citadel Prime was alive with movement. Rows of cadets in black and silver uniforms marched in perfect rhythm, New fighter pilots practiced tight maneuvers in flight simulators. Engineers ran diagnostics on prototype weapons and improved stealth drives. The hum of construction echoed from the outer shipyards. Nova Terra was changing, no longer silent, no longer waiting. Commander Jackson Morrow stood on a high balcony overlooking the operations deck. His arms were crossed behind his back, and his eyes scanned every detail, every drill, every report flashing across nearby consoles. This was not the Nova Terra he had grown up in. It was becoming something more, something ready. A soft chime rang behind him. Admiral Sora Dane entered. "Fleet reports in," she said. "Ship production has doubled. 2 new dreadnoughts, 4 more stealth frigates. Patrols are running across all key sectors." Jackson nodded. "And the people?" "Restless," Dane replied. "They feel something is coming. They know we're preparing for something bigger. They're ready, but they're asking what comes next." Jackson turned. "They deserve to know the truth." Dane raised an eyebrow. "All of it?" "Yes," he said. "We've been in the shadows for too long. They must understand why we're preparing and what we stand for." Dane paused, then nodded. "The hall is ready." An hour later, the Grand Assembly Hall was full. Thousands of Nova Terra citizens gathered, filling every level of the tiered chamber. Civilians, officers, engineers, scholars, and young cadets all stood shoulder to shoulder, waiting. Jackson stepped onto the central platform under the lights. The room fell silent. He looked out at them, a people forged from loss, from ashes, from exile, but not broken. "My name is Commander Jackson Morrow," he began, voice steady. "I was born in darkness, in the outer edge of a forgotten galaxy. Like many of you, I never saw Earth. I only know its stories. Stories of oceans and cities, of forests and sky, stories of how it was destroyed by fear and power." He paused, letting the silence breathe. "For 300 years we hid, we rebuilt, we learned, we survived. We told ourselves that silence would keep us safe, that if we stayed quiet, the galaxy would leave us alone." He looked around the room, his voice now rising. "But the galaxy never forgets its ghosts, and silence is not safety. We were never meant to hide, we were meant to rise." A soft murmur of agreement passed through the crowd. "A few days ago, a scout team was captured by the Galactic Order. We rescued them, we fought their ships, and we won. But that fight revealed something else. They are watching, they are growing stronger. They fear something is out here in the dark, and they're right." Jackson stepped closer to the edge of the platform. "We are not Earth anymore. We are not the refugees who fled its ruins. We are Nova Terra, the second beginning of humanity. And we will not wait to be hunted. We will not let history repeat itself. We will rise, not in anger, but in strength. Not for revenge, but for our future." The room was still, but every eye burned with energy. "Our children will not grow up in fear. Our cities will not be hidden forever. We will step into the galaxy, proud, prepared, and united. And when we do, they will not see victims. They will see us for what we truly are." He paused, his next words deliberate and clear. "Survivors, builders, warriors, humans." A cheer erupted through the chamber. It started small, then grew until it roared through every floor, every hall, every speaker across Nova Terra. That night, construction crews worked through the darkness. At orbital docks, massive ships rose from scaffolding, smooth and black, weapons hidden beneath armored plates. Training stations blinked with new assignments. Commanders reviewed star charts for possible contacts with outer colonies. Engineers loaded stealth drones into long-range probes. In a quiet room on Citadel Prime, Jackson stood alone once more, watching the stars through a wide window. Beside him rested the old Earth badge, polished clean. He looked down at it and smiled slightly. "Not forgotten," he whispered, "just waiting." He turned away from the stars and walked back into the light of Nova Terra, a commander leading a people no longer in hiding, no longer afraid. They were ready,